Hello friends and welcome back. Today I'm going to jump right into what I'm calling PowerPoint 101. So this is for people who have maybe never used the software before or who maybe put PowerPoint on their resume at work and then were given a project and realize that they don't really know how to get around, or this is a little bit different than what they have experienced in the past. So we're going to break it down to the basics so that you have a great understanding of how this software works. So first things first, you need to make sure you have PowerPoint on your computer. So if you look in your applications list and PowerPoint does not show up, that means you need to download it. And unfortunately, it is not a free software. There are free versions, but I do not recommend them. But you can go to Microsoft.com and search PowerPoint. And if you would just want to do a trial, that's good. But you can purchase a license through PowerPoint. Your employer might provide this for you, so always double check there before you spend any money out of pocket. Okay, so let's assume that you have downloaded PowerPoint, you have purchased your license, and you now have access to it. When you open up the application, you're going to get a screen that looks something like this, depending on the version you have downloaded. I have Microsoft Office 365, and this is through an employer, so they can do, if it's through an employer, they can do some special agreements for features and things. So it might not look identical, but for the purposes of this tutorial, you should still be able to follow along. So what are we looking at here? These are a number of templates that PowerPoint offers you that are pre-created. So if you only have a little bit of time and you need to make something that's visually impactful very quickly, you can just pick one of these templates that kind of appeals to you and start dropping your content right in. But I'm going to go with a blank presentation so that we can really break it down to the basics and I can show you how this is all fitting together. I'll make this a little bit bigger for us. Perfect. All right, so what are we looking at here? Up top, you can see different tabs that PowerPoint has. And in each of these tabs, or beneath each of these tabs, is a ribbon that is revealed. And so a ribbon is basically just a collection of tools that have been organized under these categories. And then within each ribbon, is even further categorization of the features. So these are things like page layout. This is where you deal with your letters and fonts. Here's things like paragraphs, if you want paragraphs to align right, align left, etc. So under each of these tabs is a ribbon, and then within each of these ribbons are groupings of features. What you're looking at here on the right, or on the left, this little mini slide, this is the slide overview or outline. So basically, as I create slides, I can see that slide kind of zoomed in on the right-hand side, and then a little miniature icon or thumbnail of it on the left. And this will be helpful once we get 10 to 13 slides. You can kind of scroll up and down, pick out where you want to go pretty quickly. If you don't want to see that, you only want to see the slides you're working on, you can just get rid of it and then pull it right back. And so now that we're looking here, you'll notice that this thumbnail is blank, but there is content on the screen. So what is up with that? So the content that you see on the screen is from the master template, and this dotted line around the edge tells you that this is a placeholder. So it will not show up in your final presentation. If I were to put this in presentation mode right now, there is no content to be seen, and that's because it's only a placeholder. If I were to type in content, let's see, what should my presentation be about today? I'm going to call it Reasons to Love Dolly Parton. I'm a big Dolly fan. If you follow my tutorials, you will see her pop up a lot. And this is by Amy Penny. Perfect. Okay, so now you'll see that the lines went away, and that's because this text is now active. And if I were to put it in presentation mode, you see it. Perfect. So now you can see it over here in the thumbnail. You see it there. And then you also have down here speaker notes. So what this is are notes that a speaker can see in presentation mode, but that the viewers cannot. So I'm going to put remember to speak clearly. Okay, so these are my notes to myself as I'm going to present. Perfect. Okay, so I've got my title of my presentation, I've got my byline, but this is looking a little bit boring. So how can I add a background? So first things first, you can always go to Design and see all of the Design tab and see all of those templates offered to you again in the ribbon. So these were all the things we just saw on that other slide. So let's decide on one that we feel would be a good color match. That's really bright, but you know what? I like the blue, but I think that Dolly Parton would probably love pink or purple better. And that is not offered over here. There's only blue, yellow, green, or kind of the charcoal gray. So how can I change that? The best thing to do is to click to the master slide. So under view, I'm going to take you to this secret place called the slide master. And this is basically the belly of your PowerPoint. This is the back end hidden instructions that will inform the front end of your PowerPoint. So back here, you can see that these colors are blue. I can either change it on this first slide master. So the difference here is a slide master is the first, and then layout templates are these littler ones that follow. So I can either change the color there by selecting the box and then going to home, over to colors, and I can change the shape fill. But as you'll see, I only have a couple different colors to choose from, and none of these are really the pinky purple that I want. And we're also missing this slide here too. So I'm gonna undo that. I just clicked Command Z, undo, or you can also go up here to this little undo arrow and it will redo and undo your last move. Okay, so home and shape fill did not work. What are my other options? Again, I am in the slide master view. I am going to go on slide master tab. I'm going to go to colors. And down here is where I can pick from a number of color palettes. You can even create a custom color palette if you know your brand colors or kind of those RGB values. You can create that here and name it My Company Colors. Perfect. So I want to go with some pinky purples, and I think I saw that here, red and violet. Perfect. Dolly Parton would love this. All right, so we have our pink colors that we want, and I'm kind of attracted to this, fonts. I can choose a different font if I want. So let's just do that to see how it works. As you can see, when I click these fonts, you'll notice that the text here and here changes each time I select a new font. So it's good that you can kind of preview that and see the differences. So I've always been a sucker for Georgia, the font. I think it's got a really beautiful lowercase g, and that's why I like it. All right, so now we're gonna get out of this slide master, back to our main slide on the front end so that I can start putting in my real content that I want people to see. So here we go, Reasons to Love Dolly Parton by Amy Penny. All right, so this is a great title slide, but how do I start putting up follow-up slides? Over here I see under the Home tab, New Slide. I can click that, and it automatically gave me a layout slide. If I wasn't sure, I wanted to maybe have a different title option, I could click the drop-down arrow from New Slide, click Title Slide again. So maybe I could have an optional secondary title that's called Dolly Parton, the Myth, the Legend. That's an embarrassing title, but okay, we're just gonna roll with it for now. This is about PowerPoint, not Dolly Parton. All right, so we have our two title options, and let's start adding in content. So, Reasons I Love Dolly. All right, so you'll see that I clicked on that dotted line box there. That was a template. I can click this dotted line box here and start adding text. You might notice some of these icons over here, and these are active features. So you can either insert a chart, insert some type of a graph. This is a cool one because you can put a column graph, a pie chart. If you know how to create these things, then you're ahead of me. So yeah, there's lots of different options here for the charts you can create. You can even search for pictures online, but we'll get to that in a minute. So I'm just going to put in my list of reasons I love Dolly. So first, she is charitable. Did you know that she runs the Imagination Library, which is basically a free service for kids from birth to age 5, and you can get books sent to them. The next is talented. We all know that she is a songwriter, she's a musician, she is a businesswoman, and she's an actress. If you know the song 9 to 5, she wrote that song for the film 9 to 5 featuring her. She's also a pretty progressive individual. She is a really early example, I shouldn't say early, she's a great example of feminism and equal rights for all. And let's see, what else do I love about Dolly? I think she's pretty funny. If you've ever seen her in interviews, she does a great job kind of deflecting touchy topics, and her concerts in between music is like a little stand-up set. All right, so these are the reasons that I love Dolly Parton, with one misspell in there, but we will fix that. Perfect. Okay, so this is great. A little bit heavy on the bullets, so how can we change that? I hate bullets, so I'm just going to get rid of them altogether. Again, I just highlighted the whole thing, went up here under my home toolbar. Home is the one you're going to use the most, and click this little bullets icon, on and off, on and off. If you click the drop down, you can see other types of bullets, or you could even select your own custom bullet. Let's see if there's a heart. Or I think she likes butterflies, but we'll do a heart for now. All right, perfect. Let's see if it works. Oh my gosh, it does work. All right, so I don't actually want those. I just wanted to show it. And then I also want to make a little bit of a difference between these kind of categories and the lists beneath them. So actually, let's make these a list, and you can see how this will shape up. Perfect. Oops. Okay, so I want to change these to be bold and pink. I want them to stand out. Actually, let's do them purple. Perfect. All right, so I've got this one. I want the rest of them to look just like this, but I don't want to have to make that many clicks each time with the highlight and the bold and the pink, etc. So what I'm going to do, highlight the one I like, click the Format Paintbrush tool. You could think of this as a copy and paste for the format, and then highlight what I want it to look like. Again, Format, and highlight the new one, and it will transfer over all of the things that you have applied. Perfect. So now we can see the different kind of categories. And I also want to add in some icons. So you just saw me drag this text box here. If you click anywhere in the text box, you'll see these little kind of corner widgets pop up, these boxes. So basically you can tug on this box and it will rescale the text box any direction you want. If you toggle on this little circular I don't know, it's kind of like a windy arrow up here, it will rotate your box. Perfect, and we've seen that before. All right, so I'm going to move this over so that there's room for icons, but how do I make icons? I don't know how to make icons. Lucky for me, PowerPoint has my back. I can go to the Insert tab, look for icons, and I can search. So charitable, let's say a heart. Beautiful, I'm going to insert that. Talented, let's say a guitar. Beautiful, insert that. Progressive, let's do, this is a hard one to think of. Let's do an arrow forward. Do I have any circles over here? All right, that's close enough. And funny, let's do laugh. Is there anything for laugh? Sure, here we go. Perfect. Okay, so again, I just search the icon that I want, and I can click on it. When I see that red check, I know that it is being inserted. Okay, then I'm going to highlight each of these. They all kind of piled on top of each other, and I can change the color. That's the beautiful thing about using these icons here, pre-made in PowerPoint. I'm going to highlight them all again and scale them down together so that I know they're the same size. Then I'm just going to drag and drop them to their corresponding word. I apologize for my icon choices today. We were on short notice. Great. All right, so we have different icons. We can change the colors if we want. Let's say you wanted charitable to be blue matching, talented to be that pink, etc. You can go through and change the colors of these. You got a little color coordination. This is something I would recommend if you are planning on doing different chapters of your presentation. And the reason I say that is because, so let's say that progressive is going to have 2 pages within it, one talking about feminism and one talking about equal rights for all. If you make this kind of tab purple, then people will understand they're in the progressive chapter. So the first page is blue, the second 4 are pink, the next is purple. And that kind of just helps people understand where they are in the progression of your presentation. All right, so now that we have our little color connection there, this is great. And I actually have all this empty space over here, so what am I gonna do? I would like to add a picture of Dolly, of course. So I'm gonna insert a picture. So go to the Insert tab, do the Pictures drop down, and I have a number of options. Photo Browser, this means pictures that I have on my computer. Same with Picture from File. That's just gonna open up a file search, and I can search my machine to pull up pictures to import. You can also search for stock images. These are images that are pre-licensed by Microsoft that you can put into your presentations without having to pay any extra money, or you can just search the web and then you are on your own with licensing and rights. So let's search Dolly Parton and see what we come up with. Creative Commons, look at her. Oh, and she's even wearing pink in this one. Oh no, we couldn't download it. So again, as you go through this, you'll see that there are different restrictions. Look, it even came up with a little byline here. So perfect. I'll add that to the footer, but I'm gonna put this one here, and I like this picture too. This is a good one of her that I've seen a lot. Okay, so I know how to scale them up and down, but if I scale them to be the same size, then they're so small over here, you can barely even see it. And it kind of like takes up, doesn't help me fill the page. I want them to be a little bit more similar. And so in this case, what we want to do is crop. So let's say that I want 2 pictures side by side to be about the same size as 2 of these. I want them to kind of lay out like that. So how do I get this horizontal picture to be a more vertical format? So I'm going to select my picture. Under, it should show up with the Picture Format tab, but if it doesn't, go ahead and click that Crop drop down, and you're going to click Crop. So now you've got these little black bar toggle, and you can drag that in, and as you can see, the gray area is showing you what will be cut off from that photo. So I want it to align there and there. Uh-oh, her face is gone. Select the picture in the middle and drag it over. If you hold the Shift key, it will drag in line, so you won't have the accidental feature of having it kind of go off the edge. So hold Shift, it'll drag in a straight line, and click out. There you have it. So now we can delete that, pull this photo up. Perfect. Under the crop, you'll also see crop to shape. This is good if you ever need to like insert a headshot and they're all circles instead of rectangles. That's where you would find that. Crop to shape and select a circle. And then you'll have to kind of resize it using the crop tool and just to make it a perfect circle. But we'll go back to what we had before. This is great. Okay, so we need to give this credit to the artists. How do we do that? I'm going to go to Insert. I want to put a footer into this slide. So header and footer. Here we go, and credits will go here. I don't want to click Apply to All. That will put it on every single slide. So just to this slide. Perfect. I'm going to copy and paste that in there. And I just want it to be the text. I don't want you to retain any of the formatting. Here we go. Keep the text only. Don't retain that old formatting. And now I can get rid of these. Great. So this is still looking pretty good, but I have some empty space down here. Maybe I want to fill it up with something, but I have run out of template boxes. So where do I type? Easy peasy. We will go to Home and, oh, maybe I want Insert text box. There it is. Insert text box. And I'm going to draw a text box here. I want it to be the same width as those pictures. And bada bing, bada boom, I am ready to type. Okay, so what should I put down here? Let's do a fun fact about Dolly. One of my favorite fun facts about Dolly is that she turned Elvis down, believe it or not, and not in a romantic way. Dolly has been married to the same old guy for 50 years, but Elvis wanted to purchase rights to sing "I Will Always Love You," one of Dolly's most famous hits. You probably know it from Whitney Houston, but it was originally a Dolly song. She wrote it and sang it first, and Elvis came to her door saying he wanted to cover it, but she turned that agreement down because he wanted 50% of the publishing rights, and she is, again, a businesswoman. She said, no, no, sir. She waited it out, and she is so glad that she waited for Whitney to cover that song because it was made into a huge hit. So let's put that in there. He requested to cover "I Will Always Love You," and Dolly said, no, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you very much. All right, here we go. And again, this is a little bit too bright and loud, given that I want the main content to be over here. I just kind of want this to be a fun fact that's off to the side. So I'm going to make it smaller. I'm highlighting all this type with Command A. That means to highlight A for all. I'm going to make it smaller up here, this drop down. This is at 18-point font right now. Let's take it down to 12, which is pretty much as small as you can go, and people still be able to read it clearly on the screen. We'll make that fun fact a little brighter, bold, and I'm actually going to make the background of this box a color. So to shape fill, I'm going to make it a very light pink. Beautiful. Okay, and there you have it. This has been a great tutorial on kind of just the 101 basics of setting up a slide. We went through how to type into placeholders, create new text boxes, put in photos, icons, change their colors, and even change the color of your entire presentation. Remember, that was in the View Slide Master. The Master is kind of the secret ticket to making big changes in PowerPoint. So remember the View Slide Master, that'll help you out a lot. I'm going to get rid of this embarrassing title slide. And there you have it, PowerPoint 101 and Reasons to Love, Dolly Parton.